Hello everyone, this is Selkek, also known as Paulalia, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. We are continuing right where we were left off. We just recently completed the Explore the Mun contract. If you take a look at this, we achieved orbit around the Mun. We transmitted the we recovered scientific data from around the Mun. We landed on the Mun. And then we recovered scientific data from the surface of the Mun, all in the same mission, which was great. We didn't lose anyone on the Mun, like I am known to do. So if we take a look at our contract, you can see here that we have this to test a mainsail in orbit around Kerbal, which is something that we could do on our way to explore Minmus. That's right, the goal for this episode is to explore Minmus. So we gotta achieve orbit, get scientific data from orbit, land, get scientific data from the surface. So that's combined, that's what, a 76 scientific, 76 science just from this. This is another 60. So I think if we accept these two contracts, that will be good for our designs. And I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. Oh, excuse me. Throat got really dry all of a sudden. Okay, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different in that I'm not going to be sending a Kerbal to the planet. Instead, I'm going to be sending a probe. And I think I'm going to be sending a OKTO, or I guess you would pronounce it Octo, because it's an octagon. I think I'm going to be sending a probe, just a really teeny tiny little guy. So let's see what we got here. Do we have? We have teeny tiny fuel tanks. Is one of these the teeny tiny? Yep, we have teeny tiny RCS. So let's stick a teeny tiny RCS fuel on there, and let's stick 4 little jets on there. Is this? Yes. Okay. So we want to stick that on there, right? No, not yet. I'm going to be using the teeny tiny engines. What we need though is some battery power, and unfortunately we don't have extendable solar panels, so instead I'm just going to be doing that and just kind of covering our probe in solar panels, so it should stay fully charged. As long as we're not in the shade or anything. Just for fun, I'm going to stick some more battery packs on there. And I'm going to be putting our landing gear like that. Because when I stick the teeny tiny engine, is that the... There's also, is that, no, that's a bigger one. Yeah, because there's also this, the teeny tiny one. But this has more fuel in it, so I'm going to stick a couple of these on there. Let's go with 4. And I think I have a teeny tiny engine. So when these are deployed, I have way more than enough room to land. I really could go with the smaller landing struts, but I don't have them unlocked yet. So we're going to use those. And I also want to do some illuminators. Just we can do 3. Just 3 illuminators to help with our landing. And so I'm going to call this the Minmus probe. Mark 1. And before I forget, we need the ability to transmit science. Actually, you know what? We need the ability to do science. So I think I'm gonna have to go with a larger engine setup so that I can carry my science-atron and my mystery goo containers. I only need 2. And okay, let's put a transmit on there, just in case. I mean, that's going to be a last-ditch effort so that we can complete the contract. So we're going to go with a slightly bigger engine then. Nope, too big. That. We'll just go with that, and then we'll go with the little teeny tiny one, and we'll go with 4 lander legs, of course, and we'll move our lights down between our legs. So there we go. It's no longer like a probe per se. Oh, that's a docking port. I want a parachute. So the goal is that this will return after it visits Minmus, but it's not a guaranteed return, so we're going to plan for a worst case scenario where we have to transmit our science, which is why we got the engine on there. Anyway, I am going to, now that we've got the probe built, I'm going to slap a big engine on it, and then we'll get ready for launch. Okay, everyone, welcome back. So, for those of you who were not following along during that little time lapse, I'm going to go over the design real quick. So, first off, after the probe body, I've inserted a very small fuel tank with the mainsail liquid engine that we need to test in orbit. So then there's a decoupler, and then there's a 5-stack design with 4 solid boosters here tucked in. So how this is going to work is at launch, the 4 solid boosters and the 4 outer engines are all going to engage. The solid boosters are going to burn, at which point they will be dropped, and the inner engine will kick in. You can see it tucked in there. The inner engine has fuel lines so that it will start by consuming these outer stacks. And then once these outer stacks are finished, they will be dropped, and we will blast them off with these separatrons, and this inner stack will continue to burn. Hopefully by then we'll be able to be in orbit, and then decouple. We can test our engine and in orbit, and then we can head on off to the Mun using this engine, and then using the probe fuel itself to come down and have a nice landing. Everything will be safe and sound. So all that's left for me to do is to pull this back down to the ground and to slap our launch stability towers on it. Boop, like that. We're going to save it one last time, and we're going to go for launch. So we need to get into orbit, and I believe it said it needed to be 90 to 101,000. We can double check that real fast here. 90 to 101,000, yep, okay. I can certainly do that. That's a pretty good orbit for me. I will engage the SAS, and I will switch back over to the resources tab, and this stage only. And 3, 2, 1, liftoff. Yep, alright, I was wondering if I was going to need the solid boosters, but judging by how slow that launch start was, it's a good thing that I grabbed them. Because they're really going to help give us that first bit of momentum push to get up into space. So, this is probably going to take me a bit. This is not a very quick rocket, but, so I will, I'll put some music on for you guys to enjoy while we get up there, and I will be back once we're in orbit, or if something catastrophic happens mid-flight. Alright, welcome back everyone. So we're up into space now, and we're just going for circularization here. Just put myself on the mark. It's a 55-second burn. So when this says T-minus 50, I'm gonna go ahead and just throttle up now, and let's just do this burn. I'm shooting for an orbit that's within 90 to 100, with the margin of error that we have. There we go. Separatron is off. Reset our SAS. Alright, so all of a sudden our burn now is taking much longer. I should have taken that into account. Made an idiot move there, guys. But we will just hold here and just keep burning. So long as we make it, as long as and we don't start to fall, we should be good. I wonder why. Oh, interesting. Like that abort button like slides out only if you're near it or something. But it's like if you're hovering over the vertical speed gauge. Yep. Okay, we're now falling. So we are now wasting fuel. But we are nearly at orbit, so that's okay. It's not terrible, but it's not ideal. As long as we can bring our periapsis up to about 90, we should be fine. We have plenty of fuel to do so. I mean, this is the big part of our fuel usage. Alright, so we're at a 90-100 orbit. That is perfect for us. Now then, this is the part where I would like detach and test our mainsail engine, but I'm not going to right away yet. Minmus, of course, is on its wacky tilted orbit, which means that we have to match the wacky tilted orbit. Oops, went the wrong way there. So like that, and we want to try and do it without altering our orbit too much, because we still need to be within that range. So I'm gonna have that set up, and it's a 20-second burn, and I've set it up so that it's on the other side of our system here. I've got some RCS I can use to help us. Oh, this is just... Okay, RCS off, and if you just hit time warp, it freezes your ship. So that's a little cheat there you can do. We are currently upside down, which is fine, I guess. Doesn't really matter. Why is our camera spinning so much? Or why is our craft spinning so much? I'm also going to rename this because it's a lander. Well, I guess it's technically a probe. We'll keep it as a probe. But let's time warp our way around the planet. We are now on the dark side, so our electric charge is no longer being generated. But we have 610 units with all our battery banks. So that's plenty. And once we fire up the engine again, it will start generating electricity, so there's really no worry at all. Okay, so 30 seconds. Alright, and full burn. We're just a split second behind.